Well, here we are.
Yes, we are. Season 2.
Season 2, episode 1. I like that sound of that.
You like it, huh?
Yeah,
A new setting.
New setting because now we can actually be in the same place with social distancing and sanitizer that works. We'll have another go. Yeah, so welcome back to Norrice Lea TV.
We missed you.
Like the smell.
We took a little bit of a break.
We did. We missed you.
Some family time.
And it was lovely. It rained every day, but we liked it. And
The sun shine. Right?
The sun did shine.
The sun did shine. The sun always shines. You just have to look out for it.
Oh, I've got a nice thing on that. We'll get there. But coming up in this episode, we're going to be meeting Eli Friedwald, an author of a book called The Rabbi's Suitcase. Fascinating story about how they uncovered a suitcase with handwritten letters from the London Beth Din going back about 150 years with very interesting halachic rulings. It's quite fascinating. Rabbi Friedman will be interviewing the author, so listen out for that. And then we're also going to meet family Leveniche. Many of you have seen, if you've been on the Hampstead Heath extension, the Wildwood Road Park, you see these big caricatures, superheroes standing on top of the house. So we went to meet them just to chat about that. And we went into their fun day bus, and we'll be talking more about that soon because that's coming to a stop near you very soon.
Yeah. We're sort of in a mixed world, I think. You know, when the show was shut down, we had to be on Zoom. That was all we could do. And now we're like, nishta hair, right?
Yeah, we're like the in-betweeners.
The in-betweeners, right?
Yeah, I once got a birthday card in my last shul from a member. It said on it, in order to be old and wise, first you have to be young and stupid. Happy birthday to the in-betweener. I said, thank you very much.
That's right. The shows are open. Very different.
It's very different.
Very different. Although there are people coming, but there are some people who are not.
It does work. This past Friday night was the fullest it's been actually. Many people do feel reassured the fact that with every single measure is put in place. There's a booking system. There's a one-way system. We're wearing masks, we're sitting 2 meters apart, we're not singing, we're doing all the...
Well, outdoors, we're actually outdoors.
Yeah, outdoors, Friday night we're outdoors, so...
Outdoors, no mask, and they're singing, and it's really lovely.
That's very nice,
you really get the sunset as the Shabbat comes in.
It's actually very nice, yeah.
It's very nice. And Shabbat indoors is a little bit different, but...
many are coming, but we appreciate many are not.
Yeah.
And we look forward to the day when everybody will feel safe and confident to come back, where a warm welcome is guaranteed. We are an in-between stage, and I'll tell you something, the shul office and the wardens, they're working their socks off.
Oh, absolutely.
Working really hard
the spreadsheets that they're mulling over.
It's non-stop. I mean, it's always a busy time of year now, but this year particularly, and I hope they feel that the community appreciate what they're doing, because it's working. We're getting there. I know it's impossible to... It's a fly in the studio. We can't, we try and please everyone, and they're really trying hard. But I want to share with you a thought. I know as we come up to Rosh Hashanah and the 10 days of repentance, we're going to do a lot of that. I've done this, I've done that. You read the art scroll, the Machzor. Yeah, the whole list of sins that some of us never heard of, but if you think about it, we've probably done it sometime. But there's another type of confession that we read about just now in the parasha in Kitavo. When the person brings the first fruits back in temple times, they would bring the first crop. You would take it to Jerusalem and give it as an offering to Hashem. You give it to the Kohen and we make the declaration, and we'd read out the verses from the Torah which say, I've given all the correct tithes, I've fed the orphan, I've fed the widow, I've fed the poor, I've fed the vulnerable, right? I've done all the right things, I've not done anything wrong. God, I've done everything you've commanded me to do and I've done it well.
What kind of confession is that? Exactly
my question, right? It's not a confession, but yet the Torah calls it a confession. It's called Vidui Maasros, the confession of Maasros. But it is a confession because sometimes we do have to actually focus on our positive as well, especially at this time of year, before we enter the high holy days, when we're doing a lot of that, all the bad things are done, we need to actually look at the good things we've done. And when you look at the good things we've done, it's still called a confession because it might make us think, you know what, if I'm that good at that, why am I not doing it even better? I should really focus on my strengths. And there's nothing wrong in telling someone in confidence, someone you're close with, about a particular thing that you're good at in a specific sense, not in a generic sense, saying that I'm awesome. That's already a bit arrogant and nobody likes that. But we've all got certain strengths that other people don't have, and the Torah says focus on that, focus on your good point, because if you focus on your good strength, you can go much further. And I still remember my Rabbi in Yeshiva telling us, it works better in Yiddish. He said, if a person doesn't know his shortcomings, he said it's oive. But if he doesn't know his good point, it's oive. So it's much worse. So it's very important to focus on our good strengths, be self-confident, know how great we are, and we're coming to Rosh Hashanah confident, pray for a good year. And only after Rosh Hashanah do the 10 days of repentance do a lot of that. We do a few before, Slichas, early in the morning.
Okay, so now we are ready to go over to Rabbi Friedman and Eli Friedwald, who will tell us all about this hidden secrets from the London Beis Din.
Okay, well, Eli Friedwald, thank you so much. Welcome to Norrice Lea TV. Yasher Koach for deciphering this invaluable treasure trove of rabbinic correspondence. We feel very grateful to be part of this important piece of Anglo-Jewish history. Eli's wife, Adele, is the sister of our dear HESS member, Winston Newman. So Eli, for the sake of our viewers unfamiliar with the Rabbi Suitcase, how about you give us the background story to the project?
Okay, in the 1870s, Adele's ancestors came to this country from Russia through her mother's side, Diane Reinovitz and Diane Sussman Cohen. Actually, Diane Sussman Cohen was the son-in-law of Diane Reinovitz. They were Lithuanian trade rabbis, big Talmidei Chachamim. And he came to Manchester in 1875. And about a year later, Diane Reinovitz, his father-in-law, came and he visited London. And while he was there, the Chevra Shas community, which is one of the original, founding shtibels of the Federation, was looking for a rabbi, a Talmud Chacham. These were for Eastern European immigrants. And they took him on. And Chief Rabbi Nathan Erdler heard about him, about his piety and about his scholarship. And he then, a couple of years later, appointed him to his Beis Din. And so Diane Reinovitz was a Dayan in the London Beis Din under Rabbi Nathan Adler, and later on his son, Naftali Adler, Herman Adler. And Diane Sussman Cohen actually took over this position of the Dayan of London Beis Din on Diane Reinovitz's death in 1893. So essentially, we have my wife's ancestors who were Dayanim in the London Beis Din. They were Lithuanian Talmidei Chachamim, who were very necessary, really, particularly in attending to some of the new immigrant communities that were flooding into London at the time. So these two Dayanim kept a very intensive and productive correspondence with the great rabbis of Europe, the people who they'd learnt under, they'd had semicha under, particularly the well-known names such as the Netziv, Rabbi Naphtali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Volozhin, Rabbi Yitzchok Elchanan Kovno, who was the great light of Russia, the greatest posek in Russia at the time, many other big names, as well as, of course, very, very intensive correspondence with Nathan Adler and Naftali Adler themselves. And they were, I think, if anything, you might say, the channel between UK Jewry, the rather more pompous, organized London-based in Jewry, and the Eastern European Gedolim. As such, they had letters, frequent letters and correspondence from Eastern Europe, also from the Yishuv and Eretz Yisrael. And there's lots of very interesting correspondence. All that correspondence was very fortunately kept together, and this means it was almost an extraordinarily unique collection. It wasn't split. It was handed down, it accumulated. We think it passed down after Diane Sussman Cohen's death to Diane Lazarus, who was also then a Diane later on at the London Beis Din, and a son-in-law of Sussman Cohen. And after Lazarus's death, it went down to Adele's parents, Rabbi Dr. Eugene Newman and Bertha Newman. And when they passed away, it was passed down to Adele's brothers, essentially, particularly Rabbi Michael Newman, who was the oldest. So this suitcase was essentially kept in a loft, either here or there, or in an attic or in a bookcase, for probably around 130 years. And I have a picture of the suitcase, which may or may not be a very original suitcase, but certainly a very old suitcase. And every now and again, very occasionally, some of these letters were shown to people of interest. The London-based knew of its existence. Diane Ehrentreu and some of the other Dionim used to come in and say to Michael, perhaps even to his mother when she was alive, I'd love to flick through some of the papers and see what's here. So they knew of it, but it was always kept together. And about in 1969, my late father-in-law, Rabbi Eugene Newman, had the first analysis made of that collection. He himself spent some time, and he did what I would say is a skimming research of the 1,000 or so documents, 6,000 pages, it's the extent of the collection. And he wrote and presented a paper to the Jewish Historical Society of England. And that's still that you can get online, his paper. He said he'd like to look at it in much greater detail when he retired. Unfortunately, he didn't survive to retirement. And so for another 30 years or so, in fact, another 50 years or so, the documents went back into the suitcase. And because there was so much of them, they were so flimsy and they were so difficult to read, no one really had the strength to open it up and say, right, we're going to start looking at it today. Everyone's always too busy. Right. Shall I go on and say
yes, please. Yeah, how did you get involved?
Right, okay, so I'm the least likely person to get involved because I don't have smicha. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not a historian. I've never been interested very much in English rabbinical history even. But Michael and Winston, I think Winston was very, very instrumental here, said it was about time something was done about these papers. His parents had said these were very important papers. They deserve to see the light of day. They need to be studied by rabbinical scholars. And yet they were always stuck in the suitcase, most of it totally unpublished. So at the time, some discussion was held about who they might go to, who might look at them, and the pros and cons. I had made Aliyah already with my wife to Eretz Yisrael, and it was thought it might be an idea, because the environment in Israel is right, to find many Talmidei Chacham to look through it, rather perhaps more so than in London. And so the papers were passed to me in small bundles over a period of about 2.5 years in brown envelopes. Every time someone went over to the UK, some more of it came out of that suitcase. And that was actually a wonderful situation for me, because I had actually seen the suitcase for the first time in 1999 at my mother-in-law's place. And I was terrified by the extent of the documents and what they looked like. But when they fed to you in 1-inch bunches, they looked manageable. The fact is they kept coming in for a very, very long time. I never really knew how near I was to the end of the collection.
I think the small bundles in the brown envelopes lends itself to part of the folklore that will exist forevermore with the family around the suitcase.
I think so, and it's only because I was here and they didn't want to trust bigger bundles rather than these small bundles. Now, again, I wasn't the person who was really supposed to be looking at them. I was supposed to be finding scholars to do it. And indeed, the very first thing we did when we received a large part of the collection was to call in a big publishing house of rabbinical documents, Mochon Yerushalayim, that they publish Shas and everything. They're a bit like Mossad Rav Kook, very scholarly. They employ dozens of Talmidei Chachamim that spend most of their days looking through old rabbinical letters and republishing and finding manuscripts. We called them in, and they were very, very impressed, because if you have 120 letters of the Nitziv and Rabbi Yitzchok Elchanan, which have never seen the light of day before, it's a true treasure trove.
Absolutely.
And they were very, very interested. But then we started talking about costs, and they were going to be producing rabbinical tones. They were going to see perhaps a few hundred distributed to Dayanim and Talmidei Chacham around the world. And each of these volumes is going to cost me or the family tens of thousands of dollars. purely so that a few Talmidei Chacham could study them. At this point, I had a stroke of luck. We were thinking about it. We said to them, come back again. This is a very big cost project, and we need to think about our options. As the letters reached me, when I first started to look through them, I said, well, let's at least start to archive them, to index them, and to digitize them. We can probably do those sorts of things to some extent ourselves. We had a real stroke of luck here, because I should say siyata d'shmaya. I'm speaking to a rabbi, I will say a real stroke of siyata d'shmaya, in that Mordechai Zucker made Aliyah and moved just a few buildings away from where I live here. And he's a paleographer. He spent 25 years deciphering the Rothschild papers that were written in Judeo-Deutsch, whatever it is, which is German in Hebrew characters. That's how the original brothers, when they were communicating with each other in a secretive way, thousands and thousands of pages of correspondence between Vienna, London, Paris, etc. So, and Lord Rothschild was looking for someone who could transcribe them and even translate them. So he spent 25 years on this project. So he was very good at reading flaky documents. So he sat alongside me for about 2 years, not day and night, I have to say, but for several hours, several times a week. And as he was looking through these documents and I was marking up what each of them was and indexing them, I was beginning to learn as a beginner how to read complex Hebrew script, and particularly as a lot of these were from the same people, the same characters. You got to know their handwriting. And after about 2 years, I was motoring on my own. And I then produced this enormous database in which every document was numbered. The topic under discussion was there rather than the detail. My Adele then photographed all 6,000 pages with a digital camera. We did try to find some outside organization, but when we saw how they handled just the first few papers, sticking them on a photocopying machine and turning them upside down and whatever they tried to do, we realized we were dealing with amateurs, and we as amateurs could do just as good a job. So we got a digital camera and a deck and took those pictures. And now all that is available on a small stick or on the cloud, 12, 13 gigabytes of data with all these photographs. So the papers are not with me anymore, not the original papers, but the intellectual information is here. And we know what's there. I filtered it by topic, by scholar, by from who to who, etc. We use all sorts of search abilities on Excel. And it is now available really for people who are interested in it. In the book I wrote, the Rabbi Suitcase, is really just it was an afterthought to an afterthought, really. At one point, I was going to produce just a family book, maybe 100 copies ring bound, to summarize some of the fascinating material before I forgot it and put it to the side. And as I was discussing this material with Rabbi Beryl Wine, who is my Morat Asra, actually, here in Yerushalayim, Beit Knesset HaNasi, I got rather close to him. And he said this was something that should go into general publication. I should write a book on it and find a publisher. And he introduced me to Mosaica, which is a very fine publishing house here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, actually. And they worked with me and they produced a beautiful book, which I never intended really to publish. But
well, I must tell our viewers, it is such a readable book as well. So, Yashikar, to you write so beautifully. So,
thank you very much. I have to say, I had siyata d'shmaya. I want to say this very, very clearly. I don't have the patience to do what I did. I don't have the aptitude to do what I did. And yet I did it. And I only did it because something within these papers was edging to get out. And I think, Baruch Hashem, with that level of interest and enthusiasm generated by whatever it is that these great scholars wanted me to do, that information is now available for others, bigger Talmidei Chacham than me. And we can send them the original documents, at least in facsimile form, and then they can publish those and they can research those. And there's no limit really now to the amount of scholarship.
You've done a yeoman's job. Let's get to some of the nitty-gritty of what's been revealed. I mean, what would you say, Eli, is the greatest revelation from the material in the Suitcase?
I think what was surprising, I mean, more rather than a specific, is the general breadth of the communications. You often think about rabbinical letters. And if they had been narrowly involved only with halacha, and particularly very pilpalistic halacha, then I would have given this over directly to someone else, some Talmid Chochem. But there was so much of historical and social interest in it. So I think that's the great surprise. And therefore, I was able to write an English book, which you say is readable. But it's readable because there are aspects of the book which everyone may be interested in. Some of it is the history of the United Synagogue and the London Based In, which just comes through en passant. Nobody's deliberately written it, but as you read through these, you build up a picture. There are many, many letters from the Netziv, including a letter of great importance, which Netziv says he's being investigated by the Russian authorities for forgery and for money laundering. And this is because a forged letter was submitted to the Russian authorities, which purported to show the Netziv, the Rosh Yeshiva Volozhin, writing to Dayan Reinovitz, which incidentally shows that whoever was forging it realized that a lot of the major correspondence was going to London. A lot of people at the time didn't think that so much Torah was actually going to London. And therefore that was forged, and it took weeks and weeks, and they almost closed the yeshiva down as a result of that. So you get a lot of the warmth that the Netziv shows for Dayan Reinovitz and Dayan Suskum is amazing. That you read there the way in which they communicate with each other. There's lots of muzzle tops. The Netziv sends him original manuscripts of some of his commentary on the Haggadah, and he says, tell me what you think on it. There's a very warm relationship with Eastern Europe. So that's apart from the halachic material. Then there's some very tragic letters from the Yishuv. Dayan Reinovitz was considered to be in London, in a position where he could raise funds for a lot of institutions worldwide, including the yeshivot in Eastern Europe, that were already suffering as a result of the pogrom. So a lot of the correspondence coming in was to say, please help us. Eastern European Jewry is in great danger. And so there are a lot of documents that show the extent to which the population in Russia particularly is being impoverished, and they can't keep the yeshivas going. And it's up to Dayan Reinovitz as being the closest to Rabbi Nathan Adler, and therefore to have some sort of in with the wealthy Jews of London to be able to submit funds. And that was very important. It was the same in the Yishuv. People who had gone there, made Aliyah, some had come from London, and they were Eastern European Jews, but they made a way through London to the Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael, which was a place of enormous poverty, sickness, and almost no way of being able to create a structure and a living for a person. It was the time when you essentially got collections from Eastern Europe. There was the kupot were feeding the people there. There was a series of very tragic letters. People, eventually, it's the widow of someone who was corresponding who said, I write with, my tears and my blood are soaking these letters I write to you. And we have those letters, and they're very, very sad. They're very heartbreaking. So I think the amount of history you see there. And then there are some fascinating droshot of Dayan Reinovitz, including those he gave in Duke's Place, which was the original flagship United Synagogue at the time in the 1870s, 1880s, in which he's speaking to his community and he's begging them to integrate, if you like, even though he was a long kapotted rabbi, into English society to the extent that people find jobs, but there mustn't be machal Shabbos. And there should be no monkey business going on, the sort of monkey business that went on in Eastern Europe because the people were not able to survive there due to discrimination, due to the pogroms. When they come to England, they should realize this is a place of law and order where any Jew can reach any position. He was an extraordinary, he waxed lyrical about the fairness of the British judicial system. You see this also in the letters he has on Agunot, where he describes the extent to which court and police documents can be trusted to give the absolute truth about any incident, whether it's a drowning, whether it's any other form of attestation they're giving, which are necessary, particularly to release Agonot. So all that information, so you see his warmth for the British community, which he's seen. And there's a whole series of letters there about the famous controversy on the Mapsiki Hadas, which
right. I mean, the amount of support for the London Basin that was coming from Europe, is this the first time that that's come to light?
No, it isn't, because interestingly, this famous book that was written by Bernard Homer, who was writing on behalf of the Federation, quotes very many letters, but he quotes it really from the perspective of the Federation, and there were some letters of support coming from him. When he wrote his book, shortly afterwards, I actually have extracts also of letters which were written in by others who wanted to show that maybe Bernard hadn't published sufficient information from other sources. And interestingly, those other sources, according to the letters written into the Jewish Chronicle and Jewish Tribune at the time, were from letters seen in Diane Lazarus's house, the same collection I have now. So, but I've seen them all. So I've seen them all. And one of them particularly is from Volozhin at the time. And of course, what was happening then is that the Federation wanted to start off this association of Shtiblach wanted to start off their own Shchita. And they trust, quite correctly, it seems, if you read all the papers, the supervision or the capacity for supervision of the London Basin. They just did not have the staff to do a proper job. And they wanted to start their own system going, and they would be able to gain funds, obviously the fees, etc. So that's what troubled the Federation. But the London Basin, we have a letter from Volozhin, which we think is, I think, judging from the style, is actually a copy of one written from the Netziv. There were many others as well, in which he says, even if you believe that the quality of the shchita and the porging in London is not up to scratch and you refuse to eat, he says, I think you should eat, you should live on Shabbos and Yom Tov eating nothing more than bread and salt, rather than starting a controversy with the London Basin. And there's a particular reason for that, and that was because Nathan Adler was in close contact, obviously, with members of parliament, with the important Jews, the stars of the Anglo-Jewish world who were in banking, etc., etc. These were people who were supporting the immigrants coming in from Eastern Europe. And these rabbinical letters say very carefully, you'll be biting the hand that feeds you if you start some Austritt. You are an Eastern European immigrant. And then you're trying, in a way, to cut yourself off from the Basin that has set up immigrant houses, soup kitchens, etc. It'll lead to the end of the immigration.
Wow. It's very powerful.
Even in Eastern Europe, they realized that these Jews were seeking a better life. They weren't trying to keep them all in Eastern Europe. Those that were leaving, they wanted to be welcomed with open arms and to be looked after.
Nice.
There's such a material there, which is just non-halachic, which I think it was that which impressed me most.
Wow. But let's bring it to today. I mean, given the insider's view you've experienced of the London Basin, what are the major changes in Anglo-Jewish societal perspectives between then and now? Would you say Chief Rabbi Mervis and Diane Gelly have an easier or more challenging task than their preeminent forebears?
Every generation has its easier and more challenging tasks. Corona is not a task that they had 130 years ago. I think, though, that there was a specific difficulty around the 1880s. In fact, my book has a lot on the pogroms, including an incredible letter describing the bribery of some of the Russian royal family to stop the pogroms. In 1881, after the assassination of the Tsar, terrible pogroms started in Eastern Europe. They started the first main wave of immigration. It was literally in 1881. You can almost count the day in which that really started. And immigrants began to flow into London in fairly large numbers. Now, the chief rabbi was really unprepared for this. I mean, they were used to a community that had been in London. I mean, it was the Dutch and then it was the Spanish, etc. But they were already well integrated into English societies. They weren't cobblers and tailors and people with cloth hats, etc. And they were welcoming thousands of these people in. And the chief rabbi was trying to provide an infrastructure from them. He did not have the capacity, the staff. He didn't even have everyone who spoke the language, which is incidentally why he had to take on people like Dayan Reinovitz and Dan Sussman-Cohn, because they were proper Yiddishists. They were not trained in Jews College. So Jews College jury wasn't sufficient to deal with these sorts of people. So I would have thought the very, that's like a tectonic plate there. They were moving against the incoming Jewish community. Those that were really religious and wanted to keep the standards they were used to were shocked when they came into the UK, and they demanded something better from the chief rabbi. And he wasn't in a position to do it. At the same time, the chief rabbi had colonies. My book also deals with Australia and South Africa. We have letters coming from there. There were immigrants coming there at the same time, demanding that the chief rabbi, according to one letter, import some Russian rabbis into Australia and South Africa, because the guys who are here have no idea, because they haven't been trained properly. So I would have thought there was a certain mismatch there between the existing community and those coming in, which probably isn't present today in Anglo Jewry. So I think they're probably much better equipped than they were then. But then each generation obviously has with it its own challenges.
Right. Wow. So you mentioned earlier, and we'll finish on this thought, the correspondence that you're getting around the world, people wanting facsimiles of this document and that piece of correspondence. I mean, generally, where do you see the project going from here? What further studies and publications do you see resulting from your endeavors?
Well, just someone I was speaking to, I was corresponding with today, is someone who wishes to transcribe a lot of those documents so that the Talmidei Chachomim actually have better access to hundreds and hundreds of these pages. My book is going to be read, but it's a superficial, high-angle look at the whole collection. But there is detail there. There are people who are very interested in the detail of all the discussions on Metzitza, Paper in Bris Milah. There's a whole contribution. There are papers here on Shemitah, for example, which discusses the problems in the Yishuv, etc. There are people very interested in those papers. I just scratched the surface in the book I wrote. So I think I am going to find more people saying, this is a topic that interests me. Will you give me all the papers on Bris Milah? I did that to someone. There were probably 150, 200 pages on Bris Milah. It may take them a year, but in some way they are going to incorporate it in their discussions. Then there are individuals who are writing biographies of their ancestors. There's a family, Lipschitz, who's desperate to look for more letters. We have quite a few letters. Rabbi Yaakov Alevi Lipschitz, who was essentially the chronicler of Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, Spector of Kovno. There is Rabbi, is a famous family in Eretz Yisrael. I've sent a lot of letters that we have in from them. There's an enormous amount of correspondence about the Diskin orphanage when it was being sent out. There are some people who are very interested in that. Gradually, more people will learn about the book and what it contains, and hopefully will approach me and say, will you give me that subset of documents? So I see that as being important. I'm not sure we'll get anyone who actually goes through all 6,000 pages and publish every page. But I'm hoping these subsets will interest different parts of the public, and therefore they'll see the light of day. What I'm doing myself now as a bit of a hobby, really, my final, it's nobody will ever read it. It's in English. I'm translating a few of the Aguna Kuntrasen into English, which seems a bit strange. They're very well written up, and I'm including my own commentary. I'm having to go into the Gemara and the Poskim to see what is being referred to. And that will mean anyone who's interested in this unusual case of the drowning in the River Thames, or the sinking of SS Teuton outside South Africa, hit rocks, and wants to know how the Dayanim decided that they were going to give a release to the Agonot, will be able to go through it and read all the arguments. Even the average Jewish chronicle reader would be able to understand the arguments of the rabbis, because they're so extensive, they're so deep. I think they're of enormous interest, but I'm doing this as a challenge for myself. And I don't think I will find a publisher that will be interested. It won't be of general interest to anyone. It's the Hebrew originals that will. When people say they want this, I'm gonna manuscript. I will send them the 70-page manuscript, and they will then perhaps publish it and or publish extracts from it.
Yashikar, Eli, thank you so much for your time today, and Yashikar for your incredible endeavors over a number of years, labor of love to bring these important writings to light. And may all your efforts be an aliyah for a schus and the aliyah of the neshamas of these great tzaddikim, and ultimately may they be melitze yosher for your family, for the Newman family, and for all of Klal Yisrael.
Thank you very much. Best wishes to you and your community, the Norrice Lea community, and I hope you all have a Shana Tova.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Friedman. That was quite interesting.
It was fascinating.
Can you imagine finding an old suitcase full of documents? I mean,
handwritten by these great people.
It's like awesome. It's like finding all of our Norrice Lea TV episodes in 100 years' time.
Oh gosh, what will they think?
I don't know exactly. When they find an old computer. Okay, and now over to, we're very excited to meet the
Leveniches. Oh, you're gonna love this.
Welcome, family Leveniche, to Norrice Lea TV. You are now live to the nation. Now, anyone who's ever driven up or walked up the beautiful Wildwood Road will have come across the fun bus, which I have been in. And so why don't you introduce yourselves, tell us a bit about yourselves and a bit about your bus. So let's start with Levi.
Let's start with Mum. Mum, you start. Go on.
Oh, what a tzaddik.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with Tanya.
Okay, so hi. Mum to 4 boys, all bar mitzvahed in Norrice Lea, where we were married, as were my parents and my grandparents. And we moved to Wildwood Road 24 years ago, and we love it. We've been here ever since. And Olivier bought the fun bus.
I started it 17 years ago.
Tell us about the fun bus. What is this fun bus?
It's fun day bus. I know I'm a bit
fun day bus.
I had this idea that I wanted my kids to be familiarized with doing good things, and I didn't want them to be proud of me for being maybe successful in my field, but rather to be proud of me if I could do some good in the world. So it's kind of giving back. So I started this charity 17 years ago, and 2 to 3 days a week I drive the bus and take out children with special needs. And I deal with about 30 centres and schools. And I say children, it started with children, but it actually ended up being adults, teenagers, mature people. And I get a lot of pleasure out of it. And what gives me even more pleasure is when the boys actually come out with me and assist me, and they get to see what a wonderful, incredible, special job that the carers and the teachers do with these amazing kids.
Wow,
amazing!
Amazing.
We are very proud. We're very proud.
Yeah.
And not only Rabbi Guntag, you mentioned you're walking on Wildwood to see the fun bus, but there's definitely more than just a fun bus on the house. You have
the caricatures on your roof.
The superheroes. You guys are true superheroes. That's a real special.
To protect us from the people that come into the area that we don't want in the area, so they're superheroes. It's known as the superhero house. And during lockdown, we had so many children coming into the garden just every morning and every afternoon, just wanting to wave at the superheroes. And we've actually got more characters in the garden as well, and just coming in with their parents every day as they were walking past, just to see the superheroes. So
it's such fun. It sounds like every day in your house is a fun day, not just a fun day bus.
Even when Tanya screams at me.
Tell us a little bit about being in the Leveniche's house, Levi. So you're number 2, or? So
I moved out. I moved out 3 months ago, actually. So
it wasn't 3 months ago. I mean, it just may feel like 3 months ago.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So who does it feel like 3 months for? Your parents or you? Yeah.
I don't know, it's definitely gone quick. But Levenfish household is definitely a bit nutty. I think, as you probably gathered, based on the superheroes, etc., it's as crazy inside as it is outside. You can kind of see behind mum, dad, and Didier, there's all these photos. Dad's got OCD, so every frame is exactly the same, but there's got to be a couple thousand photos around the house, all of individual memories, different spots we've been to on holidays, and everyone kind of promotes a beautiful memory or a holiday we've been on. So lots of memories in that house. Grew up in that house, lots of fighting with my brothers in that house, but bar mitzvahs and so many other beautiful events. So love that home. Sad to have moved out, but I still get mum coming around every day with food and leftovers, laundry and everything. So it's a home away from home at the moment, I'd say.
You're a good lad. You do say the right thing.
Mum and I discuss what I am allowed to and not allowed to say before, so I'm on a tight script.
So you're one of the 4 boys, right?
I'm her favorite, but yes, one of the 4.
Not what your brother said.
No, that can be agreed. He is the favorite.
I'm the favorite.
DJ, I'm sure you're the baby. It's always the baby.
Yeah, but Levi's always right.
Actually, the boss is neither Didier or I. It's Julie. She's the boss.
Oh, we have a Julie.
Yeah. Julie's the dog.
Julie.
Yeah. Can we see her?
Olivier's gone to look for Julie.
So
Russell Turner.
So tell us a little about you. What year are you in, DJ?
So I've just gone into year 10, and I'm 14 years old at UCS. So yeah.
So you're getting ready for your GCSEs.
Yeah, just starting the GCSE course now. Here she is.
There she is, the dumpling.
Oh, there she is.
You can see the resemblance. She's definitely mum's daughter.
Now, you're also a very talented family, because we've had the pleasure of hearing Didier sing Yigdal and Adon Olam and Shul, got a voice of an angel. And your bar mitzvah, all your brothers and your dad, you all sang together, didn't you? It was something really special.
I rhymed, if the truth be known, but shh, don't tell anyone.
The boys.
We were all
Is that your side of the family, Olivia?
It's neither of their side of the family. Have you heard them sing?
And really, we would love to thank the Rabbi for allowing us to do that, because I know it's quite an unusual thing to have all the boys up there together singing. And for me, I get emotional. I cry at most things, especially when Tanya goes shopping. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience for us at the mitzvah last year, having all the boys up there.
It was just it was really something special to see all the 4 boys. So there's Teddy, right? That's not here with us, but he's in London as well.
Teddy is out at a work event, and Xavier is
in North Carolina.
David is in North Carolina.
Oh, you see, you learned something on Norrice Lea TV, Levi.
Xavier's in North Carolina tonight, Levi.
Oh, why is I don't know what? Yeah, he's a
mountain biking.
He's a globetrotter. He's in the US.
Well, they have the Zoom there. Where is he?
Well, we did ask him. See if
We did send him something, so he might be on his bike.
We're going to see. No, he's still in the car. We're going to see if we can sign him in, just to say a quick wave and hello. And then Ted will be upset that he missed out, but that was.
Teddy looks like these, so it's.
So you can go for a double. But tell us about yourself, Teddy.
Teddy, I mean.
All right, we can cut bits out. I'm just having a drink.
I'm shorter than my older brothers.
Much better looking.
No,
much more annoying.
If I was Teddy, I'd say I'm the smartest in the family, which is probably true. He's extremely hardworking, very smart. But when he looks at this, because he's obviously not on the video, I want him to know that he is shorter than me.
And soon to be shorter than me.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
You attest to that, okay?
No competition there.
Don't let him forget that he's shorter than Levi, because that's the one thing that holds him back.
Yeah, you've grown, even since your bar mitzvah, you've grown taller, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
It's going to grow into his feet. It's just, this is the first year that we would have had 3 boys out of 4 in London. And it's just going to be the strangest Rosh Hashanah ever, because we won't all be together in shul. So it's going to be it's a shame. 1 year that 3 are here, but
It is a difficult year, and that's why, you know, we're very fortunate and looking forward to have the fun day bus, to be able to, we're excited to go around the suburb, the Gutentags and the Friedmans, to wish everybody a Shana Tova, and, you know, distribute little honey cakes. So thank you for that, for giving us opportunity, because we know that a lot of people are not going to be able.
It's a terrific thing you're doing. I think it's terrific what you're doing, and wonderful, and going out into the community, because not the community can't necessarily come to you. So, you know, I take my hat off to you for doing such a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you for facilitating it. Couldn't do it without you.
Spreading some sweetness around the community.
Exactly. I think we all need a bit more of that in our lives, a bit more sweetness, you know.
Is that they're coming in?
No, yeah, no signal. So can you tell us about what's going to be happening with the Fun Day bus? Can you tell us?
So we're going to have different days of different hours that we're going to be on major corners, cross sections. So we're going to be on like Norrice Lea and Linden Lea. There's going to be Wildwood and
Meadway,
I think it was. And then we're also going to Brim Hill and Gurney Drive. I don't know all of them by heart, but we're going to have the schedule up and we're going to put it out there. And we hope, you know, 45-minute slots. So we'll drive around and, you know, be out there. Hopefully people will come out and we'll greet them and, you know, throw them some sweetness, like you say. So we're very excited about it, being able to, you know, we miss the people. We miss seeing everybody. It's been a really tough few months. And this will hopefully give us the opportunity to see them in person.
I think it's going to be terrific. I just hope everybody comes and supports you, supports us, supports the community. It'll be fabulous. Really will.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. So, yeah, I did promise you leave every 10 minutes. So, thank you for joining. Sorry?
Have you got anything to say to Rabbi Gutentag before we go?
Nothing to say to Rabbi Gutentag.
You're looking good. That's what I'm telling you. You can tell me that as well if you want.
You look great. No, I do a good impression of you, but
Let's hear it. I heard about that. Can you say something?
Go on.
Put me on the spot. Lydia, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
You got it.
I know the Levenfiches are of our community. That's basically it. It just goes on.
No, come on.
Go on.
You're a celebrity, Rabbi Gutentag.
It's just he's got the best voice in the suburbs. That's the thing.
There you go. And the
Not
accent.
me. It doesn't sound like me at all.
You're live to the nation.
She'll sound like Robin Thatcher. We get Marissa from behind the scenes. She could do a New York accent.
See, like, give me one. Edit it.
You know, how about this? Next time I see Rabbi Gutentag, we'll do it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I'm looking. You know what? I know where you live. I might knock on Shabbos for a time.
I've moved out. You have no idea where I live.
I can track you down.
Come find me.
I can give you his address for a price.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll get you.
Go on, David. No.
As they say up north, and I know where you live, man.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity as well to be able to use your special bus, really. Thank you, and Shana Tova.
Happy New Year.
To you all and to the community.
Right. And so, you know, Teddy couldn't join us, so we were fortunate enough to Zoom in with him privately. So we are now going to meet the Teddy, the number 3 son. I think.
Well, he wasn't quite sure if he was number 3. Watch this.
Oh, Teddy's here. We were just talking about you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's great to be with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. We just met your family. What a fun family. So where do you fit in the pecking order?
I am the 3rd son after Didier.
Ah, how lovely. How old are you now?
Well, before after
Didier.
Levi, yeah, before Didier.
Right.
Yeah, I thought I'd let you know that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know my family better than I do now.
That's right. That's right. So when you go around on the Pesach Seder, you always get the reading of the 3rd son, or they switch it up a little bit?
No. Always the 3rd son. It's tradition now.
Okay. But we hear that you are actually the smartest one. You should have the Chacham.
I don't know who told you that. I don't know.
Your brothers have spoken.
Well, if they give it to me, you know, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, take it. It's just take it.
Yeah, why not?
So how old are you now?
I'm 23.
Oh, right, okay. And where do you live at home?
No. We moved out. Levi and I live together. We moved out a couple months ago. I was living in
right,
Los Angeles, and just moved back to the UK.
That's so cute. So the two of you together.
Two of us together, causing havoc in West London.
So what do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in the suburbs, and then I moved to the US to go to university there. Started working in Los Angeles in strategy consulting, and then just moved back to London after they kicked me out because of my visa. So happy to be back.
Also, you've still got the British accent, which is good. So we're proud of you for that.
More or less.
Did you want to stay longer? Would you have preferred to stay there?
I mean, I had the beach, I had the hot weather, I had the hiking, the surfing.
You just need the American girl to give you the green card. That's all.
I know.
Give it time.
You already let me know.
We're in LA.
Yeah, anywhere. I'll go anywhere.
All right, live to the nation, like Rabbi Gutentuck says. So you never know. Put you on the Shidduch WhatsApp group.
Yeah, this is to the world. I give you. Any language.
I didn't realize I was signing up for a dating show. I thought.
Yeah, surprise. Now, so your parents actually have this amazing. They do this incredible thing with the Fun Day bus that we're so excited to go on tour with it. We're going on tour, Rabbi Gutentuck, aren't we? Before Rosh Hashanah, we're bringing Rosh Hashanah to you, and it's really wonderful how they go around to different places with the children, right? They pretty much, and your dad was saying that he gets you guys involved.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how are you involved, and what does it mean to you?
It's definitely the thing I'm most proud of when I think of my dad, my parents, my family. And growing up, I would see my dad a couple days a week. He would go out and visit these schools, and to see, I would go with him and attend these trips to whether it was Legoland or the zoo or wherever he would take them, and just to see how happy it made the kids and also the carers was super, super rewarding, and makes me very, very proud of my parents and also of the foundation they've built. So
that's nice. Does he let you drive it?
No, I wish. They don't trust me or love me that much.
Is he the only one who's allowed to drive it?
Pardon?
Is he the only one who's allowed to drive?
He's allowed to drive it. I think my grandpa is allowed to drive it. I know
Chazan Avrami. I know he let Chazan Avrami drive it. They came out to pick us up from the airport.
Avrami is definitely allowed to drive it.
That's awesome.
I'll have a word with them.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're always here for you.
Wonderful. So will you be joining them for Rosh Hashanah?
I will be joining them for Rosh Hashanah. I'm super excited. It will be the first Rosh Hashanah that I've been home for in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
You'll have good food.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, I'm sure they are as well. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You must have really missed it when you were away, not being at home for Yom Tov and your mum's cooking.
I did.
Did your dad cook?
Did miss it. Pardon?
Does your dad cook?
He tries to cook. He'll probably tell you he cooks, but if you tasted his cooking, you wouldn't say he cooks.
Okay. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Olivier?
He has many other strong qualities that make up for his lack of cooking.
Oh, fair enough.
His good heart. His good heart.
Amazing.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and again the tremendous work that you and your family have done, and I guess continue to do for the children in brightening up their day. So thank you on behalf of the entire community and in London.
And I can see you are proud of your parents for that, because the passion in your father's voice when he talks about it, it's amazing. He really believes it, loves it, and I think he gets more pleasure than he gives. It's really amazing.
Yeah, he is. They're both amazing parents, and thank you guys for everything you do for the community as well, and thank you for having me on the show today.
Absolutely.
You're a good lad. I wish you a happy new year.
Thank you. Happy New Year, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. What a special family. They're
great fun.
They really want to show that leave a legacy, leave a nice message for the children. To know that this is you could do good out there.
You could do good, and it can be enjoyable as well.
Exactly.
And it can be fun, and there's nothing wrong with having fun.
That's
Trust
right.
me.
And now we actually went to go see live, right? We went. It was incredible to be in the bus.
Pictures of the shul in there because we have groups that Olivier brings to the shul as part of his fun days out with these special needs children. And every outing they do, they've got pictures on the bus.
It's beautiful.
As you'll see.
Right.
So watch this.
Okay, we are here live on location with the Fun Day bus. We have here Rabbi Guten Tag and Olivier.
Our driver.
Thank you, Olivier, for again offering the bus to go around and meet the people out, since a lot of them won't be able to come to us. And so we're very excited on going on tour with the Fun Day bus.
Fantastic.
So this is the inside of the bus. Let's go check it out.
So this is my bus. There's pictures of all the guests that I've taken on the bus. I'm very lucky. For the last 16, 17 years, I've taken about 20,000 people out.
Wow.
And what I wanted to say was that I really do it for the kids. They have a great time, but the reality of it is a lot of them are just happy to go anywhere. Most of them would be very, very happy just to drive around the M25 all day long and look out the window. They just like to get out the class. But I really do it for the carers and the teachers, because they are the most incredible people. The opportunity to get out those four walls of the classroom and to see the kids in a different environment, see how they socialize with members of the public, how they socialize with other groups. It's truly amazing. And I think the carers and teachers are the most wonderful people. I really do it for them now. I really do, and I think they appreciate it. So when I ring up and I say, where would you like to go? And they say, well, I'll speak to the kids. I say, don't worry about the kids. Where would you like to go? And usually it's somewhere fun, hence the name of the bus, Fun Day Bus. And it's really important that they go home and they feel they've had a day out. And being quite a dominant character, I take control and they can sit back, they can relax, and they can have some fun.
That's amazing. I can hear the passion in your voice when you talk about the carers and the teachers are such good people.
They're unbelievable people.
And
minimum wage.
Yeah.
And this will probably come out wrong, but they're virtually abused physically and mentally by these kids. Not intentionally, but the kids, they don't always know what they're doing. And the carers just love them. They wouldn't do this job if they didn't love the kids.
I think also in recent times, I think we've all realised, teachers, carers really are heroes.
Oh,
and my kids just gone back to school after many, many months. Their teachers are heroes, let's be honest. We always respect them in our house as the teachers as heroes. And you're 100% right. And you must get a lot of pleasure from it yourself. I know you're giving them a good time, but it must give you a lot of joy, surely.
This probably again comes out wrong, but I look in the mirror when I come home and I said, Olivier, you done good today. And it's important that I also get pleasure out of giving. It's a two-way street. So I do get a lot out of it. I wouldn't be doing it for 17 years if I didn't do it. And it's all self-funded. I don't ask anybody for any money because I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, rather than people telling me, well, can you do this and can you do that? So I deal with all the organizations that I want to deal with. And it's very important. And I deal with teenagers, young kids, mature people from all walks of life.
So I think that's why it's really incredible that we're using this bus before Rosh Hashanah, because sometimes people think, oh, it's fun before Rosh Hashanah, what's that all about? But it's not just about fun. It's being uplifting, inspirational for what this bus is actually being used for.
Well, the bus is available to the community. If I can help anybody, any group, I'm really happy to do so. The bus is used. We go out 2-3 times a week, and I have a very good friend called Jeff Kagan who helps me drive, and we're out there, and the bus is available to the right needs.
We actually used it during COVID, like during the lockdown when we had to deliver.
We did quite a lot of deliveries, and it's great because we've got the space and we can accommodate.
It's the mitzvah bus.
The mitzvah bus.
Well, it is.
It's really the mitzvah bus.
A fun day is mitzvah.
Very interesting.
So we're looking forward to going on the road and
I'm excited because I
spreading
think
spreading the joy and sweetness.
I think what you're doing is fabulous. If they can't come to us, we'll go to you, and that's great.
Thanks to you for that.
Oh, please. I'm just the driver.
Thank you. Now we're very excited to go on the road with the Fun Bus.
Yeah, let's hit the road.
Yeah, we're going to hit the road. We know that a lot are not coming to Shul, and we understand that it's not an easy decision to make.
But if you can't come to us, we'll come to you. It's as simple as that. Check your Shul emails, your inbox, for the details of where we'll be when.
That's right. And we're actually getting a couple of requests, you know.
We've had requests to go this area, that area, which is nice.
We missed a couple of streets. So we're looking forward to seeing you, wishing you a Shana Tova, bringing you a little sweetness. And also at the same time, we're going to end with a very special song. You know, the Rabbi Friedwald made a CD. You know about his CD?
Yeah.
Sacrifice, it's called, with his colleague, Rabbi Ben Klein at the time. And he's also known as Benny Katan. He actually sings this one, Shema Kolenu.
Oh, Shema Kolenu. Oh, you'll all know that. By the end of the Kippur, we'll be familiar with Shema Kolenu. Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful prayer. This is what we're crying out to God. And as we hear this song, we will go through all the different virtual events that took place while we were completely shut down.
Nice.
Just to give you a little memory of what and what is still available online. You can catch it on YouTube, on our website. You can see it's all filed nicely, thanks to Gail, and as well as on Facebook. So enjoy, and may your prayers be answered. And
good luck in preparing for the high holidays, however you'll be spending it, and may all our prayers be answered. Amen.
Amen. See you next week.
Goodbye from us.
I really thought today that there was no way for us to change the way we are. Let's take a look around. Anything goes and no one frowns. Everyone's happy in their own way. The life we have is so real. The challenge of it makes us feel like giving it up and living the easy way. We gotta open up to heaven. We gotta put our trust in Him. He wants to hear our prayer. He really wants us to join Him. We cannot live this way. We gotta change the day from a failure to a victory. We gotta open up to heaven. We gotta put our trust in Him. He wants to hear our prayer. He really wants us to join Him. Shema Koilenu Hashem Elokeinu Chos v'rachem aleinu V'kaber b'rachamim u'v'ratzon es tefiloseinu. Hashem Elokeinu Chus v'rachem aleinu v'kaber v'rachamim u'v'rotzon es tefiloseinu. From disproving what I thought today,